all probably heard someone say this to you. Trust yourself, believe yourself. But how exactly do we believe in ourselves when our mind is constantly pulled in 10 different directions? When our opinions change so quickly and our mood just swings from morning to night? We wake up thinking social media is beneficial for staying connected. But only after reading an article, we start questioning its impact on our mental health by afternoon. One moment, we are confident about picking a new hobby, and the next, we are wondering if it's even worth our time. One moment, we are damn sure about a major career decision, and the next, we are wondering if we even made a right choice. With so much chaos going on in your brain, how do you potentially find that whisper to trust? Do you even know yourself well enough to fully trust yourself? So, let me tell you a little bit about myself. When I got the opportunity to talk about a conscious gambit, this particular theme is very, very close to my heart. My journey has been one of trusting myself, not trusting myself, and learning it all over again. Which voice do we listen to? It's a big question that even I had. I have graduated from IIT Bombay. I did my B.Tech and my M.Tech there, and right after my graduation, I co-founded Local Nation. It's a new age marketplace that curates the best of India's D2C homegrown brands. I realized that our internal tug of war is all about thinking and thoughts. Thoughts just pop into our brains effortlessly, whereas thinking requires a lot of mental effort. It's the actual act of engaging with our thoughts. Let me take you through a quick exercise. Think in your brain as I speak. So, what's your salary goal, guys? What do you want to earn in your life? Do you have a figure in your mind? Anybody? All right. So, take this number and multiply it by 10. Think of this number 10 times of what you have just thought about as your new goal. How will you get there? Take a moment to sink that in. So the number that probably popped into your mind when I asked you, what's your salary goal? That was a thought. But when you were prompted to think about 10 times that figure, everything that possibly came to your mind as to how do I get there, how many years will it take, will I ever reach there, all of it, well, that's thinking. See, thoughts in themselves are not bad at all. It's how we engage with them, how we perceive them dictates how we end up feeling. Thinking actually just we are just worrying about a lot of things that haven't even happened yet. Thinking and reality, the difference between the two, our brain doesn't even understand that. To actually listen to our inner voice, our inner whispers, we need to be in the present. We need to clear the clutter out, not thinking about the past or our future scenarios. You might ask that, what about work and decisions if we are to stop thinking? Have you ever been so much into something, so much into your work, that it almost feels like a trance when you're just in a state of flow with no thoughts in between? It's when you do things at your best, not because of any other reason, but simply because you want to do it, out of inspiration and not desperation. It's moments like when Rohit Sharma nails a perfect pull shot, when you don't doubt yourself, when you're completely in the moment and letting it all flow through you. So, let me take you through a quick story from my third grade. I come from Hingoli. It's a small city in Maharashtra with serene farms, starry skies, but with very limited educational opportunities. I excelled in school, and my parents considered better prospects for me in the neighboring city of Aurangabad. But they had their doubts. They were skeptical. I was just 8. But to remove skepticism from the picture, I convinced them to let me try a month-long boarding summer camp. In that boarding summer camp, I was the youngest. I had to make new friends, take on hostel responsibilities solo, with just one phone call home every week. All of it was a big deal for the 8-year-old me. But at the end of the summer camp, I realized that trusting myself, letting it guide me, it was the biggest learning that I had. I promised to myself to be there for me, no matter what happens. In my 4th grade, a part of my family moved to a better city for my education. Eventually, they stayed apart for more than 10 years. Their sacrifices indeed has paved the path for me to join IIT Bombay. At IIT Bombay, I met Purvai, my best friend from college, and now even my co founder. We both strongly connected on what we wanted from our lives to go out there and do something big. Then COVID hit. I went back home from college and I eventually secured a PPO, a pre placement offer from a reputed company. Then I finally had all the time in the world to think ideally and obviously about what next to do in life. By then, we had already started researching different market opportunities. But at the same time, my brain started overthinking. My self esteem lowered, I fell into self doubt, and I eventually reached to a point where I could no longer trust myself. I was running scenarios in my head about the future, thinking a lot about my past. I compared my abilities with my peers and even my entire life. I found myself at the exact opposite of trusting myself right when I needed it the most. One fine day, my inner whisper finally said that Siddhi, if you are to go out there and fight with the entire world, you have to conquer your inner thoughts first. If I had to do this business, I had to be on the same page with myself. Tired of self sabotaging. It had only led me to places where I didn't want to be. To any one of you who's remotely relating to all of this is your cue to actually give your inner whisper a shot. Because whatever you've been doing so far, if that's not worked out yet, why not just try something else, stick to it for a while, and see where it leads you? We've all heard, डर के आगे जीत है. Beyond our overthinking selves lies the person that we truly want to be. I started speaking to myself more and more. I clung to that one voice, my whisper, until it echoed in my ears. I started to tune into myself more and more. And I finally reconnected with that part of me which had promised to be there no matter what happens. Then I realized where my inner voice had been leading me all these years. In that moment, I felt ready. Our market research had concluded that it was a good opportunity. And we finally took the plunge and started Local Nation. Now, when I had left my job offer behind, we had our business to run of our own. We decided to bootstrap, not raising money in the initial foundational years of our business. That meant we had no big money to burn. So we had to figure out how to hire the best possible talent or how to build a community, customer acquisition, and also how to run the business all by ourselves. I had some industry experience. I had lots of self-awareness and a ton of motivation to actually learn and to execute. But I realized as days became tougher, my motivation might fluctuate. But only hard work and dedication, discipline is going to take me there. So I kept pushing. Let me tell you one thing, nobody's going to come and help you or stop your overthinking. It's just you. So stop believing everything your brain thinks. Alright. So whenever I understood that it's just me, I managed myself first. And then I started to learn how to manage a team. Today, Local Nation is a community of more than 8 lakh people who believe in this revolution of homegrown. We also have an inspiring seller community, a community of artisans who together are creating products which are unparalleled, which are reaching every corner of our country and beyond. These days, I draw my daily dose of inspiration from our sellers. Khushbu's story, one of our sellers, is a classic example of life giving you surprises only when you give it a chance. She and her sister, they hail from a small village in Gujarat. And right after getting married in her 20s, she had a whisper nudging her. But she couldn't pursue it then. Only after 9 years, she finally decided to give her whisper, what if it works out? A chance. Today, her brand sells customized jewelry, which is making waves in our industry. She's quite literally employed an entire village with more than 100 women working with her. You would have all probably heard about J.K. Rowling's first draft of Harry Potter being rejected by more than 12 authors, by 12 publishers. Or you would have also heard about Colonel Sanders, who invented the KFC recipe, being rejected by 1,009 times by different restaurants. What if J.K. Rowling had compared herself to then established authors and she would have spiraled into negative thinking, throwing away her draft right after 10 rejections? Or about Colonel Sanders, who would have given into his self-doubt and abandoned the idea altogether? The world wouldn't have had finger-licking chicken wings, and KFC wouldn't be a $6 billion brand today. Harry Potter wouldn't have been our favorite character, and J.K. Rowling wouldn't be the world's richest author. So, how can you tune into yourself? How can you trust it? Let me tell you one thing. Being more in the present, trusting yourself more and more, and thinking lesser each day are skills which we can learn just like learning to walk. It's just a skill which you can train yourself for. So whenever we learn something new neural pathways form in our brain, and practicing daily makes these connections stronger, making them more effective. So is there something which we can do daily? Is there some exercise? I'm going to give you one exercise which is actually works wonders for me. So whenever you're alone, take a piece of paper and write on it whatever you want to achieve, whatever your commitments are for your future, your affirmations. Write them strongly. I'll just give you a few cues to get started with. It could sound like I fully commit to being in the present, or I'm fully capable of doing XYZ, or I actually commit to evolve, leaving my old ways behind. The gist of this is basically to make an active conversation with yourself, which will actually make this journey very rewarding. The first is to write this every day, consistently, at least for a week. You can just commit for 7 days. And as you consciously show up for yourself every day, you are building that reassurance, just what you need to trust yourself more. And the second is to not copy. Don't just blindly copy. You actually have to feel it. The moment you feel it, you're deepening your trust. It's making it easier for you to connect with yourself. See, it's not a one-time activity or a one-time exercise. It's indeed a way of life. You can come back to this whenever you feel like. So, as you choose to walk towards yourself, be kinder to yourself. Don't go hard on yourself. Remember, you are your biggest cheerleader, not your biggest enemy. So, take this leap of faith on no one but you. Because if you don't, then who will? And if you find yourself overthinking, remember that you are not defined by whatever you're thinking in that moment. It's just your brain at work, nothing else. And whenever you're thinking, remember you're just one thought away from acknowledging it, being aware of it, and returning back to the present. Thinking is just going to sour your mood, waste your time, and delay your progress towards your goals. So just come back to the present as soon as you become aware of it. So I urge you to choose your inner whisper, one gambit at a time. You have one trustworthy friend who's actually going to carve the best path for you, no matter what happens, no matter where you are. And that friend is no one but you, yourself. Thank you, guys.